I think for people to really understand what it's like to live with these families who have muscular dystrophy is to really examine what you do in your daily life. Look at what you do every day and make it harder. And then getting past that and being happy and active and out in the community. I mean, you don't just roll out of bed.
Liza is a very precocious 8-year-old. She doesn't seem 8, I'm sure, when you look at her video, but she's very smart and very perceptive. She really understands, I think, the human spirit. So Liza's a pretty cool kid. She definitely keeps us on our toes, but I wouldn't ask for anything else.
I'm in a wheelchair because I have a disease called SMA, for short, long for neuromuscular atrophy.
Well, Liza was born in 2002, and right around 9 months, she wasn't progressing. She stopped jumping in the Johnny Jump Up, and she stopped scooting around on the floor, and she wasn't pulling up and cruising, as they say. And so we, on her first birthday, which you should never schedule a doctor's appointment for a birthday, took her into a traveling neurologist in Montrose, and he just told us that we needed to get to Children's Hospital right away. So with the help of some friends, we got an appointment and went in, and the muscle clinic, they tested her for a couple different things. They said it would be one of 2 things. And they called us on Friday the 13th and let us know that Liza had spinal muscular atrophy, type 2. So she was diagnosed as a weak type 2. Of course, we were like, spinal muscular atrophy, what is that?
It's a disease where in your legs they're weak. They don't have like all the strength, and I'm missing a gene.
When we talk about neuromuscular diseases, we're really talking about any condition that keeps the muscles from working right. So the most common genetic condition that causes that is muscular dystrophy, which most people hear about. However, there's also a whole slew of other conditions that can be inherited in all different ways as well.
She was diagnosed at 9 months with a muscle biopsy, and they came back with a rare form of muscular dystrophy of Marrowson negative. There's no muscular dystrophy on either sides of the family, so it was kind of shocking.
And I wasn't.
You were just a baby. She can sit by herself, but anything gross motor is really hard. Fine motor is great. Cognitively, she's above her class right now. She goes to a general education class, preschool, and did you get it? There you go. And she's met most of the goals that they would already for the preschool end of the year type of thing.
I am Kira's aunt, Erin, and and also her CNA. I take care of her during the day while my sister is at work. A lot of adults have came out to me and asked like what she has or whatever. So I haven't. I mean, I've seen a little bit mixture. Like some will come and ask what's wrong with her, and which is awesome, and they ask, and then some, I guess, just stare. So it's more. I mean, and like how Kira's reaction is she'll say, oh, they're staring, or they're looking at me.
As soon as she warms up to you, she's super talkative and just happy. She's happy all the time, rarely ever crying until you stretch her. But she's rarely ever crying or upset. She's always in a cheerful mood, even when she's sick. You can barely tell she's sick. She's been through more surgeries, hospitalizations than I have been in my lifetime, and she's only 4. She's tough. We just recently had back surgery because she had really bad scoliosis, and they were expecting 7 to 10 days in the hospital, and she was a trooper. She was out in 4. So she's tough, right? Are you strong? Yeah.
My name is Jordan Sabayan, and the muscular disease I have is muscular dystrophy. Muscular dystrophy is a umbrella term for many other kind of muscular diseases, but we think I have limb-girdle muscular dystrophy, but we're not actually sure.
Jordan was actually diagnosed at birth. When he was born, he was not able to breathe, so he was immediately put on a ventilator. The doctors didn't think he was supposed to live 24 hours, and he'll be 18. So he's got a purpose here in life.
I love ramen noodles. I don't get to make them very often. They're delicious. Ramen makes some good noodles, I tell you what.
He doesn't let this stuff bother him very often. I mean, on occasion he does, but not very often. He's very smart. He's funny because you never know what's going to pop out of his mouth.
This is one of my puppets. His name is Colby. Don't grab my ear. Why not? It hurts.
When he came home from the hospital, they told us, he's probably going to not be a very sociable person. Probably not ever going to walk. Probably not do a whole lot. Well, he proved them all wrong. Because he's very sociable. He learned to walk before his therapist thought he was gonna. There's not too much he won't do.
I just graduated from Thornton High School about a couple months ago, and I'm looking forward to going to University of Colorado at Denver. Took classes there before, and I really enjoyed the campus. It's very wheelchair accessible, which is obviously a plus for me. It's new for me to be in college for real this time, instead of just on the side. I'm going to be studying animation, film, video. Hopefully animation is my major.
I have a spinal muscular atrophy, type 2, and basically I am physically disabled. My dad started staying home when we came to America. He's been taking care of the family, really. He's been cooking, helping me get from places to places, driving me to school, driving me out with friends, driving me to work, getting out of bed, getting into bed, showers, feeding, and all that stuff. So I see him almost every day. Kind of sick of it sometimes, but I guess that's usual.
After taking care of him for 4.5 years, I understand him much more better. We had a much better relationship.
I guess the bond has become closer.
None of us are guaranteed children. None of us are even guaranteed life. We were given the gift of Christopher, and we've enjoyed every minute of it, even through the diagnosis. Even during the sad times, we enjoy him.
Well, the disease I have is called Duchenne muscular dystrophy. It is, it basically is a disease that over time degrades my muscles, and they become weaker over time.
All muscles are impacted by what he has. So his ability to walk, to move his arms, to move his hands, eventually his internal organs that are muscles will be impacted.
It was very hard news to take, the news that your only precious son had a fatal disease.
When I get up in the morning, I can't get out of bed on my own. So I need to have my dad to help me and take me to the bathroom and stuff. And once I get in my chair, it takes time for me to get comfortable in my chair. And then throughout the day, I need help brushing my teeth, eating, and even if I have an itch on my face, I need someone to help me do that, since I can't do that on my own. And sometimes when I need something, I can't always get it right away because my parents are busy, or I'm in a place where it's hard for me to get to someone immediately that I need help from. So it just makes it hard to live with sometimes.
Pretty much the day and my life revolve around him and his care, because he has many, many needs that many people don't understand, and I'm here to take care of them.
How do we support these families to be able to have the quality of life that they had hoped for their child? They're grieving, they're going through this whole process, trying to figure out everything that they had hoped for, grandchildren and travel and all those different things. Everything has changed.
You know, the first year being diagnosed is the worst, and it's very difficult on a marriage and very difficult on just you as an individual, and then the whole family dynamics, because everybody handles grief differently. And I think that you think of this, you don't really think of it as grief, but it's mourning the loss of something of your expectations, of what your plans and your hopes and your dreams, and things are just different. Expectations are funny things that you don't realize you have until they're not met.
Well, obviously you do have many expectations for your children of, you know, what they're going to be or what they're going to be like, even when they get older. And, you know, and obviously you hope for their best. You want them to be healthy. You want them to be, you know, perfect and not have any issues or problems. And, you know, that's part of when you hear that diagnosis, there's a certain mourning for, you know, what could have been. You know, I'll never see him walk, I'll never see him develop to be, you know, the adult that everyone else, you know, has a chance to be.
I think everyone in their life sometimes thinks of, you know, wanting to kill themselves. And middle school was that time for me. It was that bad. Because number one, I was still getting used to being in a wheelchair. And then I'd have the surgeries, and the surgeries for my back really left me drained of energy and not very able to move around, and I couldn't do a lot for myself. And then to go to school every day and have kids pick on you, you know, it got to me. And I did have those thoughts, but we did take care of it. And they did the right thing. I went to see therapists, and those feelings went away for the most part.
Sometimes I question myself, why I have this disease? Why, in some cases, do I have to be so, unfortunate, you know, in this sense. And when I keep questioning myself over and over again, just gotta come up with a reason. And I guess that reason, in a way, gives me insight to how I perceive things.
Don't give up. There's never a reason to give up. There's always hope. There's always something to look to.
Most people think that I view my life as a disadvantage than others, that I am a victim of SMA, and I view it as a blessing that I get to view life in a different way, and I get to see other viewpoints than other people do.
To have a daughter with a disability brings out, I think, a special kind of affection and protection, and also forces you to think about your child and life in a different way. And you think about different things and you plan differently. And I think you celebrate different things, and you also have a greater appreciation for the unique blessings that you've brought to us. And it's not a bad path at all. It's a different path. And having you in our family has taken us down a different path, and we've gone places that we never would have gone had you not been a part of our family. And we've learned and we've grown from that because you've required a different set of parenting skills from us. And all of that together has been a great blessing because we're different, and I think we're a little larger in some ways than we would have been had you not been part of our family.
It's challenging at times, but you have to be creative and not let yourself get discouraged. just find new ways to do things is the biggest thing.
Handicap stalls and elevators. Without people with disabilities, you wouldn't have either of them. Well, you may have elevators, but not handicap stalls. So be thankful for that. You're welcome.
The biggest thing is accessibility. It's very hard. Public restrooms are terrible. Even though they say they're wheelchair accessible or handicap accessible, they're not. Going into clothing stores, that's another challenge because the aisles are so close. Just the daily faces of, sleep. I don't know the last time I slept through the night with her waking up, especially after her surgery now, but getting a full night's sleep, it's always, you're always lack of sleep. You have to get up and move.
It's a lot of positive thinking required to carry on this task every day facing a disabled child.
Just like every other child, you need positive reinforcement, unconditional love to be successful and be a mature, successful adult, just like every child.
I had a mom just recently tell me, I want to quit my job and I just want to sit on the couch and watch cartoons with him because I want to take advantage of every moment. That's great for a short period of time, but long run, that child needs structure, just like any other child. They need to have consequences to their actions. They need to know right from wrong, all those different things that you teach them in those very formative years. And all of a sudden, just giving them free rein, you will end up with a kid that is used to free rein, and then they're in their adolescence and on up. So you really need that structure. Really plays a very important role.
One time we were at McDonald's and he was little and he was just on oxygen, and so he had a big long oxygen tube and a little tank, and he wanted to go farther than what his tube would let him. It's like, well, get your oxygen tank and move it with you. And people just look at us like, you're gonna make that poor baby just carry his own oxygen tank? It's like, we never treated him like he was sick or that he wasn't able to do stuff on his own. Sometimes we tell him we don't think that's such a good idea for him to do, but, he knows what he can do and what he can't do.
You have to have, as a parent, you have to have the ability to push them, to drive them, to get them to continue to be social and gregarious. And that's very hard.
I'm hoping to go to Brigham Young University, their campus in Idaho, and I hope to study law and become a lawyer.
Amber has an indomitable spirit and great plans and ideals and hopes, and we see our role very often as just removing obstacles and looking at something as, okay, so how could we do this? How could we make this work?
If you were to provide these basic essentials, maintaining his morale, maintaining his health, maintaining his desire to achieve goals, he can actually do it, okay? All you need is just to provide help, support in areas that he cannot do.
I'm going to UC Berkeley to study biochemistry. They have a special program there where they teach handicapped students how to be independent. So it's going to be interesting. Well, I like biology and chemistry a lot, but mainly because I would like to find a cure for myself. So I thought biochemistry would be the best route. It's going to be a hell of a ride.
In terms of his emotions, his behavior, I would say that it's really no difference from any normal kid.
Really important to see the child, who the child is, despite the fact that they're diagnosed with a muscle condition or a neuromuscular disease. That's not supposed to be their label. That's not supposed to be what you see first before getting to know their name, getting a chance to meet their family, learning about them, of what they enjoy doing at school, what they enjoy doing with friends. It's really important that they're not losing their identity to this title of having a muscle disease. Some people will focus on the wheelchair instead of me. And I try to have the wheelchair disappear. Not the focus be on my personality and not the fact that I am in a wheelchair, And so some kids, they'll come up and that's all they can talk about, think about, touch. It's all about that, not instead of what I can do as a person.
I don't want people to see me just as a chair. I want them to see me as a person. Whether I'm sitting up, walking, in a bed, on a cow, I don't know. I'm still a person.
Everybody's different. Like, some people don't get why I'm in a wheelchair. And yeah.
People think that if you have a physical disease, that means you have a mental disease. And although for some people that is true, for other people it's not.
One misconception that people have is that we pity ourselves, and that the more help and the more pity, the better. That we need help and that we need sympathy, and instead of trying to find common ground with us and be our friend, they try to almost belittle us.
A lot of people think that when someone's in a wheelchair, they have a lot to be sorry about or a lot to be sad about because their life condition isn't as good as everyone else's. But that's not always the case. I can still be happy. I can still have the satisfaction of life that most other people have. I can be happy, I can have fun, I can laugh at jokes. I can still use my mind even though I can't use my body in a way that others would. So that, and my friends are a part of that too. I can do things with them and that helps me keep my mind off of my disability.
I have quite a bit of friends. We talk a lot on IM. Some of them are really helpful. They try to get me upstairs or like try to make arrangements, but sometimes they forget about it too. I don't blame them, but when that happens, well, you just always left disappointed. But I guess you have to live with that, compensate.
Maybe something that would be good for people to know is that if your child is friends with a child in a wheelchair, it's so much easier for you just to call the parents up and say, we would love to have him or her over. How can we make this work? I'm a little nervous about this. I don't feel comfortable because it's out of people's comfort zones. You know, if they address the situation with the parent, it would just make it really nice for her to be included, and just simple steps just to say, hey, how can we make this work?
They're just like other kids. I mean, they're just like, they're able to learn, they're able to talk, they're able to play, they just have to do it differently.
We are normal people. We just want to be normal like everyone. Someone who can walk, maybe. We're normal. We're not any different. We have feelings. We don't expect you to treat us differently.
It doesn't matter if we're in a chair. It doesn't matter if we have crutches. It doesn't matter if we have leg braces. It doesn't matter. What does matter is you treat us like people. If we need help, we will ask you for help.
Sometimes people can be a little uncomfortable when I might need something, and it's kind of hard to, sometimes I have some good friends I can ask, but sometimes if I ask someone what to do, they might just be hesitant or unsure if they're doing it right. So I wouldn't really say there's many misconceptions, but definitely some misunderstandings.
The thing that makes me mad is like when kids come up and I say, what's wrong with her? And her parents are like, no, don't say anything. You don't bother them. And they apologize. And I'm like, no, that's great. Talk to her. She'll tell you. So
It's a hard thing to break through, but I think that people would much rather be approached and acknowledged than passed by.
All the kids at her school were wanting to help her out, and it was one of their jobs was to be a curious helper. So, and every kid wanted to be part of it every day.
Somebody 20 or 30 years ago did a great job of laying groundwork so that there'd be a lot more doors open for us.
And maybe in 20 or 30 years we're going to have hover chairs that'll go over obstacles and stuff, and she can go camping and hiking. Who knows?
There are opportunities it's having the energy to move forward and find those. And the tenacity. I mean, it's a lot of systems that you have to fight to get through to that. And when our families do it, it's so successful, you can just see it in the kids. It's amazing.
I think perceptions are changing, and as we educate, as more and more people become aware, and I think that's our job. You know, it's my job as a parent, it's Liza's job as an ambassador for herself and for the disease, and so that's all we can do is educate.
Wow. The tail. It's exercising right back there.
So you can walk someday, huh?
Mm-hmm. So I can walk someday.
Turn towards me so I can get the hair out of your mouth. Mwah.
I don't know why I did that.